You're listening to The Reel Down, sponsored by Ketch Photo Release Tournaments. This is your premier tournament source. Here are your hosts, Sam Jones and Dan Ferreri. Welcome back. This is The Reel Down on Paddle and Fin podcast. I'm your host, Sam Jones. Got my co-host over here, Dan Perry, and an epic, wild, crazy-haired guest, Vinny. I don't even know. We'll try and say the last name here, Ferreri, but it's probably wrong.
We'll go with Ferrari. It's Ferreri, but that's
Ferreri. All right. So what's going on, Vinny? Welcome to the show, man.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for being here, man.
Dan, my man, it's been a while since we've recorded together. How you been, brother?
It's nice taking a break. Just busy, getting ready for a season. I got one of those new next level design handles for my Titan. Been putting that on today.
Fancy.
I'm ready to go.
Nice. I haven't gotten one of those yet.
Nice.
Yeah.
Plug-in Titan already. I like it.
Oh, they're expensive, but really next level designs. I didn't get one for free or anything, but it's crazy somebody makes something so nice and so detailed for like a handle. It's really something.
Vinny, what's your ride for 2020, man?
I'm gonna be going back and forth between the Slayer Max Limited and the Titan 12 this year, I think.
Just all right.
What event
we know you're a native guy. You have to tell us about this whole entire fleet that you have that I'm drooling over. Tell us what you got, man.
Well, I've been around a while, so the fleet has accumulated. The custom Ultimate FX Propel is actually the wife's. She loves that boat. She will not let me get rid of that boat. She loves the when she stands up inside feel of that Ultimate that a lot of guys don't like. She loves it. So that's the boat on top of the shelf. We got the Slayer XC there in the middle of that picture I posted. That's my moving water boat, my river boat. And then I just picked up the Limited when it came out, the Max when it came out, giving that a try. And I'm actually super impressed with that boat. Overall, I haven't really found many flaws. Definitely impressed with that boat. And I got a Titan about a year ago, Titan 12. That's my just super stable, not really going anywhere too fast boat. I use that inshore when I go fish for some reds and trout. But love them all. Definitely, I guess, a little blessed to be able to grab what I want and throw it in the truck and go fishing.
Oh, yeah. Super jealous.
Heck yeah. That's a nice little setup you got there. So, all right, guys. Well, if you guys don't know Vinny runs the Queen City Kayak Anglers Club there in North Carolina. What city are you guys based out of? Is it Charlotte or?
So, yeah, we use Charlotte as center home. I actually live about 30 miles below Charlotte. I'm in South Carolina, the Rock Hill area by Lake Wiley. But, yeah, we use Charlotte as our home. Queen City Kayak Bass Fishing.
Nice. Okay. So, everyone I know in North Carolina, I reference it off of Lake Norman. So how far are you from Norman?
So personally, I live about an hour from most of the ramps on Lake Norman.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
Definitely
Fair
one
enough.
of the home lakes.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, let's get to know a little bit more about you, Vinny, and who you are. So tell the listeners a little bit of how you got into this crazy thing called kayak fishing.
Oh man, interesting. So you can probably hear that I'm not originally from down here. I am a New York native, Queens, right outside the city. Moved down here a little over 12 years ago now. I grew up fishing on big charter boats for bluefish, flounder, porgy in the winter, sea bass, stuff like that. Really no skill involved. You go out with your family, you drop a bait, you catch fish all day. When I moved down here, inland, first off, 4 hours from the ocean, no bluefish. I was kind of like, well, what am I going to do? So I started trespassing golf courses, man, and took a couple rods out in the pack of Senkos and met a couple people, and they showed me the way to catching some bass. And then I did that for about 2 years, little apartment complex ponds and golf course ponds. And I finally was just like, I have to get off the bank. And about the same time, we got pregnant. So it was like, baby's coming, want a kayak, what do I do? So I waited a little bit, and then I finally ended up finding a small group of anglers here in Charlotte, and I bought a kayak, and I jumped in, and I've been kayaking now about 8.5 years.
Wow.
Nice. In the kayak for 8 years. Wow. All right. Sweet. When did you do your your first tournament?
I did my first tournament a week after I bought my first $200 kayak.
Nice.
I am a huge competitor in nature. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I teach PE for a living, so it's just in me to compete. And they had a tournament going on. I bought a little $250 Trophy Beach kayak from Dick's Sporting Goods, and I threw it at that time on top of a Mitsubishi Lancer with no roof, little foam noodles, and I hit the river, and I caught my limit, and I actually cashed a check, believe it or not, which was hysterical. But it's been a crazy whirlwind since then.
Nice. All right, so we know your first tournament. What was the last tournament you competed in, Vinny?
I don't want to talk about that one. Can we move forward?
All right, fair enough.
The one before that one you won, right?
I did. So, yeah, we had a huge event last weekend on Saturday. It was our season 6 kickoff here at Queen City. I was expecting between 60 and 70 anglers. We usually pull between 50 and 60, but knowing it was a season opener and it was year 6 and we were guaranteeing big money, the weather was looking kind of crazy. I was saying, all right, we'll go 60, 70. Long story short, we had 90 guys register on Tourney X.
Wow. In January.
In January in a thunderstorm in 25-mile-an-hour wind. And
Dang, son.
Turned out the weather was fine, but, a little bit of drizzle here and there. But we ended up with 89 guys on the water. We had the full spectrum of a tremendous Queen City bag of 75 inches and 30 people skunked. So if you found them, you found them. And if you were like me, you did not. And you got your butt whooped on some home water. But that's fishing, right?
What were water temps?
I would say between 52 and 54 on most of the lake.
Okay.
So
how low does it where do you guys bottom out there?
I would say like 47, 48, and that's if it's freezing. It's been over 70 degrees all week, so it's not going to drop right now.
Okay. Very cool. Good to know. So that was your guys' kickoff for Queen City, huh?
That was the kickoff. We're looking forward to a big year. We have 9 trail events. Last year we averaged 70 guys a month, which grassroots is a huge number. So huge payouts. We pay over 100% every month. We give out plaques and trophies every month, a ton of raffle prizes. We have a huge backing from about 35 different companies, whether they're sponsoring events or prizes for the table and stuff like that. So our next event, we're looking at a slugfest on Lake Murray on February 8th. So we can pull 90 more on Lake Murray. We're going to see some huge bags.
Sweet. That's pretty crazy. Well, since we're already talking about the schedule, why don't we just kind of roll through what your schedule is, and then we'll kind of dive deep into what your club's all about and some of the different, things you guys got going on.
Cool. So, when we started 6 years ago, it was kind of, hey, let's put together a five tournament schedule. We'll count your top 3, and we'll stay close to home. And that has since evolved. And last year was the first year we kind of went far from home. We went down to Lake Hartwell, which for most guys is 2.5, 3 hours. And as the commish, I was nervous. How many guys are we going to pull on Lake Hartwell? We can't go from 80 at home to 40 on the road. And long story short, we pulled 63. So I was happy with that. And I was like,
solid.
If we've grown enough to pull local anglers to our club when we come into town, then we can travel a little bit. So this year, I took some big name lakes that guys have always wanted to go to, and I put them on the schedule, and we're going to go for it. So we're doing a little bit of driving this year. We are going down to Lake Murray next month in February. Then we're going to stay home for Lake Norman, and we're co-hosting it with, AJ in the Bass Open Series. So we're looking to make that a absolutely tremendous event. The fishing will be on fire in March on Norman. And then April, we go chase some huge spawning fish on Lake Hickory, which is an hour from home for most, hour and a half. And then May, we have 2 events. We try to squeeze as much fishing in the good time of the year as we can in the April, May time.
Right.
And in May, we're staying home on Mountain Island Lake, chasing some big spotted bass on beds. And then we're going down to Lake Hartwell at the end of May. We had a really great time down there. A lot of fish were caught. We have a great host down there at Grady's Outdoors. So we like going down there. It's a beautiful environment. So we're going back this year. And then June, we're going to a brand new lake known for huge summer fish in High Rock. July, brand new lake, Santee, down in South Carolina. We're expecting 80-inch bags coming off of frogs. So all brand new stuff to love. And then August, we do a charity event every year. So we take a break from the competition and we raise some money for a charity in August. And last year and this year, it was Emerald School of Excellence. We can touch on that if you'd like in here.
Let's slow down and talk about that for a second.
Okay.
So tell us a little bit more about this charity.
So it gets a little weird because I'm plugging my wife, but she runs Emerald School of Excellence. It is the first recovery high school here in the Southeast. It's for kids who are coming back into high school after going through rehab for whatever drug they were on. So they leave their normal high school setting, they go get clean, and then they finish, or at least start to finish their high school at her school. So currently, she opened this year, and currently she has 5 full-time students, and it's amazing. So,
yeah, that's interesting. So in your guys' areas, is that a pretty big problem that you guys are facing there?
Unfortunately, yeah, in the high schools, it really is.
Is that mostly because of parents being involved and addicted to those types of drugs, or?
No, I'm not the expert on this at all, and I don't want anybody to take anything I'm saying the wrong way because it is a touchy subject. But
Sure.
I would say a lot of it is partying and athletes and access. They can get access to this stuff pretty easily, whether it's smoking weed on the weekends or stealing something from the medicine cabinet, or if they're going higher up the scale, going to see their drug dealer and getting essentially whatever they want.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's cool that you guys are you're giving back in that way. So
yeah, cool.
How does that tournament break down? What does that look like? Percentage goes to the foundation, or is it 100% of the entry fees go towards the foundation? What does that look like?
So last season it was the first Emerald event, and we did 100% donation to Emerald. We had I'm lying actually. Last year was the second. This is the third. The last 2 years were 100% donation to Emerald. We raised, I believe it was $1,100 the first year, $1,500 the last year, and hopefully I have some big plans for this year. I don't know if it's going to pan out, but if they pan out, it'll be pretty cool. But last year, Native Watercraft donated a Slayer XC to the event, so guys paid their $40 entry fee, and at the end of the day, we did standings, of course. But your standings didn't earn you any prizes. They earned you raffle tickets. So if you finished first place, that's awesome. You still got the plaque and the trophy, but you gained 10 more raffle tickets. Second place got a certificate and 8 more raffle tickets, and so on and so on. And then at the end, even though you fished and you may have gotten last place, you still had a shot to win that $1,500 kayak. So It was pretty cool format. The guys seemed to enjoy it.
That's cool. I like that. I haven't heard anyone do that kind of raffle format based off of your place. That's really interesting. I like that a lot. And shout out to Native for hooking it up too.
There were so many companies involved. So with no cash payout, as somebody running a tournament, it's hard for me to say, hey guys, Sam, Danny, throw money in and hope to win nothing, right? So
yeah.
I have to go out and I have to gather all these prizes and put them on the table, and we have to have something worth winning. So the kayak was awesome. We gave away a paddle. We gave away True South Custom Lures here in Charlotte. Supports everything we do. He gave, he's up here on the top. He gave a ton of stuff to the table. Line Out Custom Tackle. A ton of emerald green crankbaits for the table. True South did emerald green chatterbaits, emerald green spinnerbaits. So everybody jumped in with this theme, and we just had a blast with it. And I didn't even mention the best part yet. It was a kiddie rod tournament. So you had to fish
cool.
character rods.
That's awesome.
Love it.
So you got guys like me who never go out with less than 10 rods on the kayak. I'm out there with 5 Paw Patrol rods with 30-pound braid, throwing a Ned rig and a buzzbait, catching, well, not this year, but last year, catching 18-inch fish on a little 2.5-foot rod. So
nice.
yeah, if you guys get a chance, you can check out the Queen City YouTube page. Graham Hambone has a video up there of him fishing with some kiddie rods. It's absolutely awesome.
That's classic. I love that. So is this a points event for you guys, or is this an open event, or how's that work?
No points involved. It essentially is our off month because August is brutal. It's 105 degrees. Realistically, you don't want to compete, but we have such a strong group of anglers here that care about their community. And of course, Mary, my wife, is part of our community, that they come support. We had over 30 guys last year, and seeing 30 serious anglers, $5,000 kayak setups with 2.5-foot rods, that's what this group is about. So it makes me proud to say that I'm part of this group. And like I said, I have big plans for what's coming this year for it. I can't really let anything out because I don't know if it's going to happen yet, but if it does, it'll be really fun. It'll be something different that we really don't see much in the kayak world. I think there's been one event like it, but nowhere near home. So we're going to try it and see what happens.
That's
awesome.
And
send us the information whenever it happens, and we'll spread the word. Yeah.
For sure. Can't wait to see what happens with that.
You might get some insider information, Sam. Might have something to do with somebody you work for.
Oh, okay. All right. So we'll see what happens there, man.
One more plug. Native has also donated a kayak this year for the Emerald.
Oh, watch out.
Which one is it this year?
It'll be a Falcon 11 this year.
Okay.
So something more, kid-based, entry-level, paddle-based, but hey, we all started somewhere.
That's right.
I love it.
Awesome. Good buddy boat to bring out, keep for your friends. Yeah.
Yep.
For sure. All right, cool. Well, now we've kind of gone over the schedule. We got a little bit of a little dialogue here about Queen City. Let's start from the beginning. Let's talk about how this whole organization, this trail, this series, whatever you want to call it, got started.
So I mentioned that I'm a competitor, right? And I'm always in it to win. Doesn't matter what I'm doing. Doesn't matter if it's half-court basketball, full-court basketball, league basketball, whatever it is, I'm in. So I started fishing with a smaller group here, and I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but their payout structure was not exactly what I cared for. They didn't pay first place any different than they paid the middle of the field. So the top half of the field would double their entry fee, and the bottom half would get nothing, which is fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not how I was raised or what's inside me. I am going for the top.
The win.
Yeah. And
that's right.
So I would get first or second, and I would get the same check that 10th would get. And I'm like, I have to try to do something different. So I started fishing with another series, and they were just far from home. I mean, that's the honest truth. They were 2.5 hours from home. So I sat down with my wife and I said, hey, look, I'm thinking about starting something. And at about the same time that I had this crazy thought to run a series, a friend of ours got stage 3, I want to say, breast cancer. Mm-hmm. So they wanted a $50 donation. And I was like, I don't want to give $50. We can do more than $50. And so I was like, let's hold a fishing tournament and we'll donate all the money. Whatever happens, happens. So nobody knew who I was. Not that really anybody knows who I am now. And we did what we called and what has forever stayed. And I'm going to stand up here in a second and show you fishing for boobs. So we did a breast cancer charity tournament. We had 19 guys come out. We raised, I think it was $450. We donated it all. It was awesome. We had pink giveaways, everything I just said for Emerald, but in pink. All right, we had pink rags, pink T-shirts, pink baits. It was phenomenal, and that kind of sparked Queen City. So that was the first event, and that was over 6 years ago now. And I want to see if you got logo.
I like it. Fishing for boobs.
Love it.
That logo never leaves.
So Queen City was formed over a pair of boobs.
Some boobs. Hey, we saved those boobs.
We saved some boobs.
We saved them.
And
So
formed Queen City.
2 years later, we had a huge Fishing with Boobs tournament. My principal got breast cancer, and we raised $3,500 cash in one tournament. And again, everything pink. 51, I want to say, or 53 guys came out. At that time, it was the club's biggest turnout, and it was for some boobs. So we started, in my eyes, you're going to have to edit all this. We started, in my eyes, on the right track, right? We started with guys who came out for the right reason. Nobody was coming out to be famous. Nobody was coming out to win the biggest trophy on the planet. And it just kind of grew, and I put a schedule together, honestly, not knowing what the hell I was doing. And we rolled. And the first season we averaged, I think it was 27 guys year one. And that led to a year two and year three. And then after year three, the kayak scene, started to really blow up, right? You got guys paying $100,000 at championships. You got other series popping up on the scene. So it was like, what can I do home to make these guys want to stay home? Otherwise, we're not going to have a trail. So I took everything that we'd been working on, 100% payouts, trophies, plaques, and I added guaranteed $1,000 payouts. So whether we had the average 40 guys show up or we had 70 guys show up, first place was going home with $1,000. And we have, we ran, now it may not sound like such a big deal because the scene is huge, right? You got Bass, Hobie, ABF. These guys are paying major money. But if you look around, you really don't see too many grassroots trails paying that kind of money. So
no,
I take
not at all. Yeah.
And this year
we've had a lot. We've had a lot of different trails on, and I've never heard anybody doing that. So yeah.
Yeah, that's like championship money, not everyday tournament money right there for a club. That's impressive, man. So I mean, obviously you got some great support behind you, but it's also impressive that you've been able to, negotiate these deals and build something that people want to be a part of. So kudos, hats off to you, man. That's awesome doing that for your people.
Thank you. And that's what it's all about, man. And, that's where I think Hobie has it figured out. I think it is about the angler, and you need to keep it about the angler. It is not at all about me. It is not all, these guys have to have a reason to come fish with you. And I try to do my best to give them that reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Great stuff, man.
Thanks, Sam.
All right, so that's how you got started. Now, how many years has the club been around again?
We just started year 6.
Year 6.
Wow.
All right. So 6 years later, looking back, what's the biggest lesson you've learned in all of this that maybe some of our listeners who are thinking about starting a club or already have a club, or maybe they're in a club and they want to give, some insight or some tips or something like that to their club, tournament directors or whatever have you. What's that insight, man?
I think I'd have to say, don't be afraid to grow up. And I think I've had to grow up a little bit, right? I think I'm older now. I'm 34 now. When I started, I was probably 27 in planning stages, 26, right? New dad, new to the South, just rolling. Now it's turned into a part of my life where I think growing up has been a big thing. I don't engage in the BS as much as I used to. If you got a problem with me, move on. You got a problem with what I'm doing, move on. Back in the day, it might have been a little bit different. It might have been, I'm not going to watch what I say because I really don't care. And now I don't have time for it. I am focused on what I'm doing for these guys, and that's where I want to be. I want to be focused on what I'm doing. And then as a director, if there are any directors watching who are running, smaller starting up clubs, you need to be strict, you need to be fair, and you need to follow your rules to the word, every word. I've had to disqualify some of my best friends for simple mistakes, and that that proves to the other guys that Vinny's not playing around. Vinny is not going to let this angler slide because he forgot to take a ramp selfie. He'll watch this. I'm going to call him out. My teammate from last year, Lowell, I had to disqualify him at a tournament. I had to give him a 0 when he had cashing money limits because he forgot one of the simple things. He forgot to take a ramp selfie to prove where he was. So he got a disqualification, but I think in the end, it made the club grow. It made him and I grow. And I think that's a big thing as a director.
All right. So that brings up something right there. You know, after this, I was getting ready to get into, you know, rules and stuff like that. And I know my man, Detective Dan over here, probably has a whole spreadsheet ready to go.
No.
That's what he does. That's what he does. He gets in there and finds out the details on these clubs that in these tournament directors that we interview. But so that's a rule I've not heard of. You got to take a picture at the ramp.
Okay. So
talk about that.
This goes back to the growing part, right? So my big thing, and you can somebody's probably looking it up somewhere saying Vinny talks all this trash in the past and then goes back on his word. But I never wanted to be forced to pay money for Tourney X, right? I didn't want to take, for example, $500 out of the payout. I wanted to pay everyone every dime I possibly could, but we were growing. I needed to grow up. So now we use Tourney X, and I'm loving it, honestly. That's the honest point. But before Tourney X, before you could drop a pin, if I put a list out of legal ramps, I have no way of knowing you're at a legal ramp. So our way, and my way of knowing where you were was if I give you your identifier that morning, it's filled out, you have to go to the ramp sign, you have to take a selfie with the ramp sign, your identifier completed, and your face. And that way I know, okay, you're at Buster Boyd Landing, you're legal, you can go fishing. Now it's a little bit different with Tourney X because now we have the new pro app. We hit check in on the phone, it drops a pin at the ramp, and you go fishing. You know, obviously, if guys were crazy enough, there's a way around it. You know, you can check in and go somewhere else. But in a perfect world, we're not going to have that problem. So,
okay.
But yeah, that's what we did for 2 seasons, and believe it or not, we may be bringing it back with Tourney X. It may be take a selfie, upload your first picture at 0 inches, so we know where you are, and that's the help of judgment. The check-in feature kind of slowed us down last month. But we didn't know we'd have 90 guys, but it kind of slowed us down a little bit. So
interesting. Okay. All right. Well, Dan, I'm going to turn it over to you, man. You you probably did some research on this, hopefully. Otherwise, I would just put you on the hot seat and you got nothing.
I'm a details guy. I like to go through there. Y'all had these cool, like your tournament ID. I've never seen anybody have a better tournament ID. Like with the 3 little letters that had Queen City, all the colors. I've never where I'm at, North Alabama, like it's just black and white. Hey, and it works. And we got, you put your 3 digits in there. Y'all's was all nice and pretty. Never seen anything like that.
So I'm a little flashy. If you weren't able to pick up on any of that, everything I do is bright and loud, and I rock neon leggings, and my jerseys are all bright. Nothing is toned down. You've seen my kayaks; they're custom colored. Everything's painted with glitter and powder coated.
Vinny, do you have underglow on your kayak and car?
I have underglow in the truck, under the RV. Nothing in the kayak.
Man, that's another thing you have. You don't just have an awesome fleet of kayaks. You've got an awesome RV. You have to tell us about that too.
Oh man, where do you want me to go first, Dan?
Man, I'm sorry. I'm all over the place. I'm in love with that.
I'll go to the ID first, and then we'll touch on.
Okay. There you go.
So, if you follow the page, if you guys are out here listening to me rambling, and you're gonna end up following Queen City, everything on the page is very themed. So there's a lot of pink, blue, purple theme. Our backdrop on the banner this year is the same backdrop that is on our Facebook picture, and it's the same backdrop that's on that ID. So everything is themed. And honestly, what happened was I did a monthly tournament online. It was our first one. We were still in the off season. I wasn't prepped for 2020, and I was like, hey, let's do this tournament. Let's see if we have an interest. And In one day, 17 people signed up. I was like, all right, let's roll with it, right? We got 17 guys who care to fish their lake all month. Let's roll. And then guys started submitting pictures, and the identifier card was of another trail series, something that I don't support. And I was just like, oh, I don't want to judge these pictures with this ID here. I was like, I just can't do it. So I told my wife, I said, I got to create something. So I made our own ID. But what's crazy is if I would have had time to sit and think about it, if you are a business in the kayak game, everyone is seeing your logo, your whatever it is, in a picture of a fish. So that is the number one spot to advertise, in my opinion. So when we didn't have identifiers 2 years ago, we used business cards for the title sponsor, because if it's Paddle and Fin sponsoring my event and I'm using Paddle and Fin business cards, now you're in 90 guys' pictures all day long, and that's a ton of advertisement, in my opinion. So this year, being we didn't have business cards to hand out to everybody across the 2 states, I just advertised for myself a little bit.
I like it. Vinny thinking next level.
Yeah, so that's that. But nobody forgot it, event 1, which is huge because it was a new thing. Usually I'm handing you an identifier. This year you had to print your own. Nobody forgot it, so that was a plus. We did have a couple guys at the ramp who had extras to hand out, which was awesome. But yeah, the RV stemmed from just traveling, 2 hours every couple weekends for practice and fishing these tournaments. I do still compete. I know that realistically that is probably coming to an end as we continue to grow, but for now I am still a fisherman when that kickoff time hits. And in theory, it was a spot for my wife and my other judge, Brad, my co-commish, to judge from, but they're making me book a cabin for the next event because they don't want to judge from the RV. So I don't know what I'm paying the monthly payment this month for. But what's crazy is I didn't even speak on it. I have a little daughter. I have a 7-year-old. She's awesome, and she loves to camp. She loves to fish. She loves to kayak. So it's a mini me, and it has turned into the QCKBF mobile to the family camping trips. So we spend weekends now out in the RV, and the underglow is going and the fire pit's going, and we have a good time.
I like it.
Love
yeah,
it.
I'm bringing my family next weekend to go practice for a tournament. It just makes it that much funner whenever you can involve your family.
Dude, it's awesome. My wife is actually the main judge for the trail. She is behind the scenes on Tourney X every weekend. So
awesome.
Nice.
So for all your tournaments, and just a couple other things in the rules, are they all 4 fish?
Yeah, we are a 4-fish limit. That goes back to me being loud and different and not wanting to be like everybody else. When I came on the scene 6 years ago, most of the stuff was 3 fish. Some of the bigger stuff was 5 fish. And I was like, I don't want to be like everybody else. I just want to do something different. And not knowing at the time what we would evolve into, I was like, let's just roll with 4 and we'll go with it. Well, it turns out a lot of the upper fishermen in my club actually seem to like it. I think it's a good combination of, you still need your quantity because you still got to get 4 good bites, but you definitely need your quality because 4 12s won't do it. And I think it's just a nice blend, something a little bit different.
There's a big debate with my local club this year because they're 3, because they want to be able to get new people in. And 3 is, everybody's 3. 5's a little much, but I mean, I saw that, I was like, well, damn, 4 sounds just right. Why never?
It's a good even number.
Yeah, 4's.
As an angler, I have no issues if I go fish a 3 or a 5. I just literally have to remember to take that 5th picture if I'm fishing a 5-fish tournament. But, I fished with a couple trails around here that are 3s. We actually did an MLF style one day. We did a 10-fish. We didn't complete MLF. We did 10 fish. That was fun. We've done 1-fish limits, your biggest fish, winner take all type deal. We did that. But I do think 4 is, and nobody's ever stole it. So I don't know. The world must think I'm crazy, but we'll roll with it.
For me, the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and all that, it's so strange to me. Like, coming from the boat side of things.
Yeah.
Like it's all about the 5. It's all about 5 fish limits. And even when I got into, because I came into kayak fishing, late in the game, right? I got my kayak late in 2018, started tournament fishing last year. So I've never fished a 3-fish limit, but I've heard of other clubs doing it. And to me, that's just so strange. I don't even know where that even started or why.
I think it was so people can get limits. That would be my guess. And then, but you could also look at the other side of it is now you're really fishing for quality, right? If you only have a 3-fish limit, you know you need 60 inches is what I tell myself. When I'm in a 3, I tell myself I need 60. When I'm in the 4 that I fish home, our magic number on our local waters is usually 70. And then when I travel and I fish a 5, I mean, realistically, you want to tell yourself 100, but if you hit 90, you're sitting pretty, right? So I think those are the magic numbers in each limit. And when I just told you that Greg put up 75 inches this week on Lake Wiley, and I told you the magic number 70, that explains how big of a bag he really put up. He really did put up a major bag on Lake Wiley.
Nice.
So, but I enjoy it.
Yeah,
No,
for sure.
I think if some other 3-fish clubs hear that, I think they're going to be like, hey, I like that. Because it sounded right to me. Because 3s, like, I know whenever I fish, because all of them here in Alabama, all the local stuff are 3s, and your strategy changes, and you just sit there and grind on a spot a lot, and because you don't have to move. But 4 sounds like a great mix. I really dug that.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. That's it. Everything else in the rules look normal to me. Yeah, those were the only 2 things.
Try to keep it pretty simple.
We gotta ask the one question though. We haven't asked it yet. You can't talk about a tournament series without asking motor or no motor.
Hell no, no motor. We are man-powered. We will always be man-powered. There's no wish-wash.
No motor. Okay.
No motor. Right. That's part of my issue with some of the other stuff that's around is I won't, but I could argue with you that paddle and pedal deserve their own class, right? And then you throw motor in the mix, and it's like you can't tell me that they don't need another class. So like I'm watching the other organizations weigh in for the national championship, and I'm hearing all these great anglers, and this doesn't take anything away from them, but you're telling me you went 19 miles today. I mean, no one else can go 19 miles unless you have a motor. So I just don't think I don't want to use the word fair because I could just go buy a motor, right, at that point. But I don't personally want to compete against the motor if I don't have to. So we're going to stay man-powered. I think it is as fair as it can be. If there ever is a motor conversation, it will be its own class. If 10 guys want to fish with motors, they can fish against themselves in their little class, and that's just what it'll be. But no, Queen City's going to remain man-powered. We have paddle guys who compete, who cut checks. I mean, we had a paddle guy finish 9th this week out of 90. That's top 10% of the field. That's a good day, if you ask me. We had a paddle guy finish 4th in Angler of the Year last year out of 67 paid members. He went to the championship. Another paddle guy finished, I want to say 13th overall. So you can still compete paddle. I just don't think that next jump is fair.
Now, some clubs that have the no motor rule do have the clause around if you have any type of physical limitations. Do you guys have that a part of your rules?
I don't. I actually had to get rid of it. And I don't know how I feel about the whole situation, right? If I have offered guys who cannot paddle, I will bring you a pedal drive. I will bring you a boat. You saw the fleet, right? That's part of the reason I have the fleet. I will bring you something. You will not have to paddle. But when you tell me you're going to choose to not come versus not pedal, that kind of tells me something. So I don't want to get in that gray area because we all have that doctor who could write that note, right? And so if one guy is really medically cannot do anything and needs a motor, I get it. But if the next guy shows up and he's got a note that says he can't, who am I to judge this guy? And I don't want to get involved in that. So black and white, we just do no motors.
I think everybody from the outside who isn't a tournament director looks at that and making that decision and just realizes how tough that is.
It is.
I think we all saw that debate on KBN, right? I mean, you put that tournament director in a horrible situation, and I don't want to be in that situation. I denied somebody this year, a friend of mine, tournament director here in the Carolinas. I won't say his name. And I told him, I said, look, dude, just show up. I'll give you everything you need. I'll give you a native, a pedal drive, everything you need. I said, I just can't allow the motor. So,
yeah.
But that's just,
Yeah.
Well, thanks for weighing in on that that debate that it will forever go on.
Forever.
It's a huge advantage. Nobody can deny that.
Yeah. I think kind of something that you said is interesting is, will we eventually see a pedal series, a paddle series, and a motor series? Will we start to see that as this thing grows and evolves? Will we have those kinds of classes, kind of almost like in racing? You have different classes and that sort of thing. So, it is an interesting concept and a thought that I'm sure many people have had. So I think that's interesting for sure.
I think it just comes down to payouts and sponsorship and money, right? So if I got 60 guys pedaling and I have 10 who want to use motors, I can't pay them the same. I can't give you that guarantee of $1,100 because you're just not bringing in the entry fees. So that's my take on it. That's why I don't have classes. We're gonna put all the money in a bucket, and however you want to get to it, go get to it. So
all right, cool. So let's talk about a couple other things here real quick, and then we do have some upcoming events to talk about finally. So we'll get into that here in a second. But before we do that, Vinny, let's talk a little bit about your structure as far as Angler of the Year and Championship race. So do you guys have an Angler of the Year points race? Okay.
So
how does that go about? How does that go down?
That's essentially what the whole trail was built off of, not allowing every angler to fish in the championship, right? It needs to be a qualification. In my opinion, if you're going to title it a championship, it needs to be free. The purse needs to be there somehow, whether you built it through entry fees or it's sponsored or both, which is how we have it. But I don't want to go into a championship and pay. So my guys, currently we have 96 paid members. When I say paid members, my membership is optional. If you don't think you're going to make 7 events out of the 9, then don't pay your membership. It's not worth it for you, and I'm not here to take your $40. So if you can make 7 out of 9, I tell you, pay your $40. You'll earn points throughout the year. At the end of the year, we calculate your top 7 points, and our top 20 guys are going to make the championship. Number 1 is the Angler of the Year. He's going to win $1,000. That's already set. That money's already there. And then the top, so I'll give you a little bit of background. We always did the top 15, but we always had about 60 paid members. Well, this year we had an explosion of growth, and we've had 90. Now we have 96, and it's only going to go up a little bit more. So I went to my team and I said, guys, we can't take 15 out of 60 one year and then take 15 out of 100 the next year. It's just not, something's off. So we're taking top 20 this year, and we also added 5 spots into what we call our fish off, which essentially is a one-day playoff where if you win the fish off, you also qualify for the championship. So you can qualify for the fish off by finishing 2nd, 3rd, or 4th at least one time during the year. So you finished in a top caching spot, and you were committed. You fished 7 total events. So Sam, you show up at Lake Norman, you finish 2nd place. You fished 7 more events, but you still miss out on the top 20. You earn your spot into the fish off, and you have one day, 8 hours to prove you deserve to be in the championship. And if you win that event, Nick Cuddleston will end up watching this, Mr. Titan winner. Shout out to Nick. He won it last year, and he jumped into the championship. And then he got a chance to compete with the rest of the field. Our championship purse is $5 per entry, comes out every month and goes into the purse. And then we have sponsor money added. So last year, our championship purse was at like $3,900. And then we give 60% to first place, 30% to second place, and 10% to third place.
Very cool. Okay. So for your Angler of the Year, there's a couple different formats that people use. So do you all do the accumulative length, or is it a points-based system at each event? How does that work?
It's point-based. We have a 300-point system. If you're first place, you get 300 points. Second gets 295. Then it's 290, 285, 280 for the top 5. And then after that, for 5 places, it drops 4 points. After that, for 5 places, it drops 3 points. And then everyone else who submits a fish gets it drops by 2. If you skunk or you do not come to weigh in, you do not get any points. And that goes to the competitive aspect of how I was raised. All right, we're not here to give participation trophies. You have to earn everything. So we are very charity and friendly family, and love everyone, and we're growing, and we're going to help the new guy. But at the same time, you got to pull your weight. We want to be elite. We want the elite guys to do well, and you have to earn everything.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah.
Because it is a competition at the end of the day. If you're going to sign up for a tournament, you're competing, and it should be about the competition. All right, so I think that rounds out everything as far as, who you are, who the club is, what you guys got going on. But I always like to give you guys an opportunity to shout out those that help you guys out and to support you. So I know you've gone ahead and you've been able to mention some of those sponsors, but go ahead if you want, run through those sponsors, run through anyone that helps out the club, and floor's yours, man. Shout it out.
Let me pull it up on my phone because I'd feel bad if I call most and forget a few. So is that okay?
Heck yeah, of course,
man. Y'all have to have like the best group of sponsors out of any trail I've seen yet. I mean, it really is amazing what you've been able to do.
I mean, I just can't speak enough about the support we have. A lot of it, if you look at our page, a lot of it is community support, right? It's people here who I personally can directly make money or offer them advertising and send people to their shop. We've not really chased the big names, the industry names that people are used to. So like when I read through these names, if these people are not in the Charlotte area or the region, they're going to be like, what is Vinny talking about? But these are people who grow the trail, and in return, we grow their business. We have a hashtag that I probably post more than anyone, but we post it, and it's hashtag support who supports us, right? So you'll see by these names a lot of local companies that we push business to. And I'm going to start with a brand new sponsor this year. He's our Angler of the Year sponsor, Mr. Ricky Rains. He runs the Angler magazine. So if you guys are seeing the Angler magazine, Ricky is giving the Angler of the Year sponsorship money this season. So I wanted to give a huge shout out to him. He brought on the local restaurant, Papa Doc's, who is borderline attached to our home shop of Rusty Hooks. And then we have companies where I get my hair cut. I mentioned it before. I mean, not everybody can look this good, but Lakeside Barbers, who's right there by Rusty Hooks. They're in the same parking lot. Keith's been cutting my hair for, I think it's like 4 years now. He's cut my hair the night before I went and bowled 300s, or the night of me bowling 300s, the night before me winning tournaments. So, him and I have a great relationship. I don't know if he'll watch this, but I'll have to push it to him now. And then we have companies like my lucky barber. we deal with Kayak Fishing with Christ in Santiago. He's pretty well known in the kayak industry. Him and I, we met 6 years ago at a tournament. We've been friends since. He supports the club. And then Alloy Wheel Repair Specialist, he's the guy who customizes all my kayaks. I strip off the metal, he powder coats it, I give him all the plastic, he paints it. And I give him an idea and he runs with it, and he's absolutely awesome. And then we have True South is a cash sponsor, Emerald School of Excellence, who we support. In turn, they sponsor our Big Bass Prize, so they pay for all the Big Bass plaques that we give out. You guys see behind me. Those are plaques that I have won, but unfortunately I've created them as well. But we are very big on giving out what we call hardware, right? So at every tournament, somebody goes home with a nice 8x10 wood plaque, and then second, third, fourth, and fifth go home with a framed certificate. So to me, the money goes away, but that stuff right there, my daughter can look and be like, and then when I can't fish anymore, I have memories, but the money goes away. We have Install in the Holidays. He's been around for 3 years now. He decorates corporate Carowinds, Charleston. So he's a huge supporter of the club. We have Air One down by Lake Hartwell. My buddy Lowell that I disqualified. He runs a big air conditioning company down there. He supports us. Denver Tackle's another local shop. River Runners, another shop in Columbia. and Rock Outdoors is another shop in High Rock. All of those are cash sponsors. That's why our payouts are what they are. They're helping me pay for things that the club needs, and they're helping me bump these payouts up. And then on top of that, and I can't run through all 35 of these, but I'll tag you guys on the page, and I'll just show you if I can. All of these companies are putting product on the table. So we have 90 guys. I think it was 31 anglers left with a raffle prize the other day.
Wow,
so
that's amazing.
You know, if you're not getting a check, at least you're getting a pack of biz baits. There's this biz baits, Robot Hawk, Salt Light. You know, all these guys, True South, Burley Pro, they're all throwing stuff on the table, and they support me as an angler. They support me as a person. They've never told me to chill out or calm down or stop wearing pink and stop wearing leggings. And, you know, they let me be me, and in return, they're sponsoring the club, and I love them all. So I hope they know that. And yeah, I can't say thank you enough.
Awesome, man. Well, it definitely shows that you're putting in the hard work, because you wouldn't have all those people supporting you if you didn't. So hats off to you, man. And, you know, setting a good example for other tournament directors out there.
Thanks, man.
All right. Well, you know what? We're getting ready to do something that we haven't had a chance to do in a long time, Dan. We're gonna talk about some upcoming tournaments. Vinny, you want to hang out and do this with us?
Sure, I'll hang out a minute.
All right, cool. First one to ever get that invite, so you know.
Yeah.
So don't mess it up, right?
Right. Don't mess it up. Don't mess it up. But hey, so tournament season's about to kick off. We're wrapping up this tournament director series. We'll have other tournament directors on throughout the year, but we're getting ready to go full board into tournament season, and I couldn't be more pumped.
Oh yeah.
So, starting out, there's a group of guys going down to Florida to fish what's known as the Tinvitational, fighting for a spot to get into that coveted 10.
Or 11.
Or 11. Or 12. Or 13. Yeah. Whatever it ends up being today.
I think right now it's 11, and what, one other person can get in?
Yeah, right. So, you know, it's considered to be the cream of the crop, right? This is the most coveted event to get into. You know, at least some people consider this to be that event. And it's definitely a difficult event to get into. You know, the cool thing about this one is if you make it to the 10, you're guaranteed a minimum of $1,000.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you have to give it up for KBF for that, to go into that house, to have your food and your lodging paid for, and to be guaranteed $1,000. I mean, you gotta give it up to that, because that is awesome.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one of the coolest events that we have. I mean, I put it right up there with the TOC. I put it right up there with the Trail Series Championship. You know, the FLW Cup last year was another really cool event I put up there at the top. But I mean, this is something I think everybody would love to see, you know, their name on that list. Yeah. So, but there's one more chance to get into it. So there's a Tinvitational. It's 2 days prior to the 10. So guys are going to go down to Florida. If they qualified through the 2019 standings, they're going to have a chance to fish. And then if they win, they get to go fish in the 10, unless someone from the 10 wins the Tinvitational and blocks them, which they're going to be trying hard to do. If you've been watching the weigh-in with Scott Butcher, those guys have really got this plan to stop anyone else from getting in, and I don't blame them.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, if you're going to compete against those 11 people, they're trying to keep you out, and they're 11 of the best anglers in the country. So even for people like Jody Queen and All the other sticks are going down there to try to get in. It's going to be tough.
Absolutely, absolutely. I wish I could have made it. I can't, but I'm definitely going to look forward to covering it after the fact. So you got the Invitational, you got the 10, but what's really cool is you go down, you fish the Invitational, and let's say you don't win, right? You don't make it. You can hop, skip, and jump right over to Seminole and fish the kickoff of the 2020 Hobie Bass Open Series.
Yeah. Well, first we have to say, who's everybody got for the 10? Who do you think's going to win? Who's your guy?
Ooh.
Come on, putting you on a spot. Pick somebody.
See, I don't want to do that until I know who. I want to see what comes out of the Invitational, because there are some hammers. Yeah. There are some hammers that if they make it, and there's some guys that would be really strong in Florida. So I want to see who comes out of the Invitational. But based off of who's in the house right now, if that's your question, oh man, how do you bet against any of them? That's the real thing.
Yeah.
How do you bet against any of them?
Cody Milton went last year. How do you bet against him? Scotch wins everything in Texas. I mean, at Brundle, the amazing kid Fuqua. I mean, you've got all of them are crazy. Yeah.
Watch out for Dylan, because he set the tone the minute he broke out the mullet. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, he's serious in the front, and he's ready to party in the back. So.
Yeah. I mean, and you really have to give up there's got to be something for somebody that young going into the event with no Florida history, and just, he's probably going to be fishing in the moment, maybe more than any of the other people, I would think, being that young. So, hey, he might have an advantage.
The kid qualified as a 15-year-old. He's 16 now, turned 16 at the end of the season. 15 years old, has qualified for this event. I mean, that's just unreal. But, Elsie, the national champion, out of Indiana, I know he's really hungry for it, because he wants to prove that he's not a one-trick pony, right? Even though he had a great season, he made the 10. He wants to go in there and win that event and prove he's not this one-trick pony. Russ Snyder's, you can't bet against him.
Brundle's of the year this year.
Yeah, Brundle's one that is I think a sleeper almost. Man, he crushed it this year, and everybody was talking about, how it's that division and whatnot. There were some words about that, but then he comes to the Trail Series Championship and finishes top 10. If I remember right, had a great showing at the Trail Series Championship. So anyway, we're talking a lot. Vinny, you got a pick out of the 10?
Josh Stewart. Yeah, I mean,
I need the full roster, man. I don't follow very much. I'm stuck in my local. Is my boy Corey Dreyer in it this year?
No,
but I think he's gonna fish the Invitational. I'm not sure. All right, here it is, man. You ready? You ready? There are no North Carolina guys here, or South Carolina, so I understand why you're not in the loop here. But you'll recognize these names: Jamie Broad, Derek Brundle out of Massachusetts, Brad Case, Mike Elsey, Dylan Fuqua. Fuqua is really how you pronounce it, I think. Cody Milton, Casey Reed, Matthew Scott, Russ Snyders, Josh Stewart, and Ken Wood.
So I want to root for the kid just because he's the kid, right? Yeah, teacher, I want to see the kid succeed. But at all those guys, really the only one I have had any interaction with is my boy Casey. So I'll go down and I'm going to say Casey for the win.
For sure. I like it. You said, Dan, right as we transitioned over to asking Vinny his, you threw out Josh Stewart. Man, I'll tell you what, a Cinco in Florida is a good bait, and he knows how to throw it.
It could be right on the spawn too. And this week is the Bassmaster Open down there, so is seeing all that that's another whole another cog in it is that information watching the Bassmaster Opens down there this week, messing them up, thinking, because it's a whole chain of where they need to fish. Today, all those guys we're recording this early, but all the guys were down in Kissimmee. But how many fit? I think it's like 200 and some boats. All those boats are bringing 5 times 200 every day back through the lock. So, I mean, does that actually, is that going to have an effect on Kissimmee? So it's really interesting. I think for me, I want Mike Elsey to win. I love listening to Bass Kayak Fishing Podcast, and he was on the Dark Waters podcast, which is a good one. And he was really talking about how he wants to make that leap from just doing it for fun to doing it for full time. And I think he's probably got more hope on winning than anybody, maybe a little bit more to win for. But I just can't bet against Scotch. I mean, that dude's unreal. He's listening to him, he's definitely a self-confident guy. But he's an absolute hammer. I would have to say Scotch.
Right. Yeah. You can't bet against any of them. It's really anybody's game in that house. So, all right, moving on from the 10 and the 10 Invitational. Vinny, you got something, my man?
Did you say something?
I want to say thank you.
Yeah,
What'd you say?
Oh, nothing.
Yeah, I'm going to head out if that's okay.
Yeah, for sure, Vinny. Thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate you, brother.
Thanks for having me, guys. We'll be in touch. Take care.
All right,
thanks, man.
Bye, Lance.
So who did you have? Who did you pick?
Man, I didn't.
No, you didn't. Come on. Hurt somebody's feelings. It is what it is.
Gosh. I can't do it, man. I don't know that I can do it.
Come on.
I have so much respect for all of these guys. I really do. I've spent time with most of them. A few of them I've not personally had much interaction with. But man, so for personal reasons, I want to pick Dylan. He's a buddy of mine, and I think he's got what it takes, and I think he's got the heart, and I'd just love to see him get it. But dude, Cody scares me right now.
Yeah. I don't know how I said Scotch whenever in my head it's Cody. How do you not pick him?
I mean, when he was on the weigh-in with Scott, I think it was with Scott when he said that he's been fishing for a check.
Yeah.
Not fishing like for the win. When he said that, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. And by saying that, he was pretty much in his most humble way saying, hey, watch out. I'm coming to win. And I've not been putting it all on the table, and I am on this tournament. So when somebody
That's
like
scary.
that says that just, gosh, if a gun's to my head right now and I got a bet and that's what we're doing, I'm gonna put my money on Cody.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
So
I'm gonna stay with Scotch. I said him. I'll bet on him. But Cody would, there's, like we said before, all 11 can win it.
yep,
And who's going to get in each other's head? There's so many dynamics to everybody being in the same house, everybody being an absolute hammer, young and old. The information sharing. I think the dynamic of everybody being in one house. I think before I kind of thought, the 10, but listening to it more and more, I think that's got to be the most interesting tournament in the year. Just because there's so many different things going on.
Right, exactly. And right now there's already 23 guys signed up for the 10 Invitational that are going to try and fight to get in there. And, that's there's some big names in there. Could come in and upset the whole thing. So, excuse the sniffles here. All right, so moving from the 10 and the 10 Invitational, we all know that's going to be an epic event. But Bass Open Series, Hobie Bass Open Series, kicking off their year at almost kind of like a home water for you, Lake Seminole.
Yeah, it's 4 hours away. I'm fishing it. I'm going down there the weekend before, which is this weekend. Well, not this weekend, next weekend, with the family, kind of little family camping and fishing trip. Kind of scout out some. It's, you know, Seminoles. It's Florida, number one. A cold front. It looks like the weekend before is going to be a cold front coming in, but then a warming trend the weekend of the tournament. I mean, it's pretty far out, but that's what the forecast's saying right now. Uh, and you've got the choice of 3 different rivers: Chattahoochee, Flint, and Spring. Where are you going to pick? There's a lot of ground to cover. They were devastated by a hurricane last year, so that's changed a lot. The whole lake's changed a lot, and it's put a lot of timber in the water. Not that there wasn't a bunch already, but the Brian Latimer won it this year, kind of the same way people have been winning it. He won it in the Flint, so yeah. I don't know. Ike and Ellie won in the Flint years ago, but it's been won in the Spring in Chattahoochee. It's really going to depend on how far they are into spawn. If the weekend before, it's a full moon weekend the weekend before, but it's also going to be cold. Is that going to, how's that going to affect the spawn? Is it still just complete pre-spawn? Are they starting to move in shallow? So, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll still be pre-spawn or maybe a fuel spawn, but probably just pre-spawn. But I'm just trying to think about it myself. I've been doing all the map study.
I can hear your brain just going right now because you're throwing it all out there, and I'm like, yeah. I understand it because going into every tournament, that's how my brain is. I'm thinking about all the different variables, and I'm just ready to get on the water and start putting it together. So, you and 58 other people are signed up for that event already. So
I think this, yeah, but I know there's a few other people that are going to sign up this weekend, but it'll probably be close to 100, I think.
Well, again, I think you're going to have a few jump over from the Invitational.
Yeah.
It only makes sense if you're already down there, you're fishing Thursday or Wednesday, Thursday, or whatever it is. You don't make it, sign up, go over, get a day of practice in, and fish a couple days on Seminole. It'll be fun, man. Let's see. We got 59 so far signed up for that.
It's been about 1 or 2 a day, been adding every day. So, and that's probably only going to pick up.
Yeah, people from all over: Tennessee, Missouri, Indiana, Ohio. Kurt Smith's coming down fishing that one. Watch out, Kurt in the house.
Going for Angler of the Year.
Yep.
Driving that far.
Yep. Jay Whalen coming down.
And you've got what is her name? Kate. I forget her last name. She lives in Utah, and if you haven't been on her YouTube videos, she's amazing. I'm really jealous of the travel schedule that she's got this year. So, do you see her name there?
I'm looking. I'm browsing.
Yeah. I can't believe I'm not can't think of her name right now, but.
What's her YouTube channel about? Just her travels, or?
Yeah, I've got right here of her fishing and her learning. Man, I was watching a video last night.
Field?
It is
Kate Field?
Yeah. It's her YouTube's called Kate Fishing. It's just Kate Fishing. But I think she's out there in Utah, beautiful area, but just really interesting YouTube video. But she's traveling all over the country, California to Florida. So that's awesome. One of the people that's in the event.
Yep. Craig Dye, all types of big names in there. So that'll be a good kickoff to the season. So yeah, I'm looking forward to discussing these tournaments and the results and bringing on some winners from these. We'll probably have to do a bonus episode because we're gonna have so many tournaments, right there in a little group. So it'd be hard to capture all that in one episode. So look forward to that if you guys are interested. But all right, man, it's going on an hour and 15 minutes here, man. We should probably wrap this thing up and see what the next episode brings us. But Vinny, awesome guy. Tons of flair. to him.
I mean, what
Tons of style.
to somebody to take a tournament series from what it was to what it is now, all the sponsor support, almost 100 people in January. That's crazy for a lower, not a national level event. So, props to him for everything he's done with Queen City. Go check him out if you're in the area.
Yeah, check them out on Facebook and Instagram. They got a pretty good following there and always pumping out a bunch of content. So thanks, Vinny, for coming on. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Reel Down. We'll see you next week with some winners from these awesome tournaments coming up.
Sounds good. Wear your PFDs.
Absolutely. Later.
Go check out the website, guys. Paddle, the letter N and fin.com. Also check out YouTube, youtube.com/paddle and fin. If you got a question, comment, want to hear from a future guest, feel free to email us at paddle, the letter N and fin @gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media. We're doing giveaways, announcements, things like that at Facebook and Instagram at Paddle and Fin. Shout out to our show supporters, Rocktown Adventures, Loveland Canoe and Kayak, Hammered Lures, Fish Mob Lures, TRC Covers, Ketch Products. Go to ketchproducts.com. You can put the Paddle and Fin logo right on your catch board. Don't forget to go over and pick up your JigMasters Jigs. Use promo code PNF20 and save 20% today. Don't forget to rate and review the podcast on whatever platform you're listening to. It helps grow the audience, helps others find our podcast. So please drop a 5-star rating in on the podcast platform you're listening on. Don't forget about the recycled plastics program, you guys. Take your used plastic baits, put them in an envelope, mail them to the address in the show notes. Our man Eric Richards at Hammered Lures melts those down, makes new baits, and donates them to various chapters of Heroes on the Water.